For your consideration, Max presenting the HBO original Succession. As power struggles ensue, the Roy family weighs up a future where their cultural and political weight is severely curtailed. Don't miss the series IndieWire calls the end-all, be-all of TV. Nominated for 5 SAG Awards, including Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Drama Series, Succession is streaming now on Max.
From Variety, celebrating more than 118 years covering the business of entertainment, this is the Awards Circuit Podcast. While Killers of the Flower Moon invokes the horror inflicted on the indigenous population here in the United States, Lily Gladstone notes that it's also important to find the moments of joy that has come from the success of her film.
I think a lot of people who understand what it is to survive as a society, as a culture, as a people, you continue forward by remembering what you've been through, what your people have been through, but you do it in a celebratory, uplifting way. It's like the only way you can kind of keep doing it.
I'm Michael Schneider, and on this episode of the award-winning Variety Awards Circuit Podcast, we talk to Killers of the Flower Moon star Lily Gladstone about her Oscar nomination. Also on this episode, Poor Things screenwriter Tony McNamara. And the roundtable talks about the Oscar nominees luncheon, the DGA Awards, and what's next on the road to the Oscars. It's all next on this edition of the Variety Awards Circuit Podcast. Stay close. Hi, everyone. It is Variety TV editor Michael Schneider, and it's still Oscar season. God damn it, Clayton. I thought you would fix this by now.
Listen, I dare you to get mad. It's still TCA. That's longer than Oscar season. So don't ever give me crap about that.
Aren't we having Emmy Awards next week?
I think so.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. I've just done an interview for TV. Yeah. I'm like,
my Oscars know how to give one award show per calendar.
Yeah.
So you talk to your people.
Straighten out those TV people, Michael.
I think more. That is Janelle Riley and Jazz Tanke joining us as well, with Clayton Davis and myself. And yeah, it is continuing to be the longest Oscar Phase 2 in modern history. We're literally almost still a month out until the ceremony. I feel like I'm gonna go on. Actually, no joke, I have 3 more trips planned between now and when the Oscars happen. I just have been on 2. I'm at TCA. TCA happened between nominations and now. I went to Atlanta. I went to New Orleans. I'm going to San Francisco. I'm going to Austin. And one other place, I think, but
it's almost like you don't care about movies.
I went to Santa Barbara.
I saw a movie.
Which one
did you watch? What did you watch?
It's going to be terrible.
I saw Past Lives.
And
I teared up in my seat. I watched it on the plane.
Just teared up? Why were you not full on sobbing?
Oh, should I have bawled and embarrassed myself on the plane?
Yes.
I probably should.
I do that at freaking Galaxy Quest if I'm watching it on a plane. You can do it at Past Lives.
The ending destroys you.
Yeah.
Actually, very controversial. Jessica Davis doesn't like Past Lives.
Oh, interesting.
And when
we're going to divorce. It's all over.
I was going to say.
And she learned it by listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Well, no, because actually I talked to Celine Song about it during our podcast interview with her because for Jessica, it was hard to relate to Greta Lee's character. She's like, I think she's mean. I would never do that to you. And I was like, oh.
She's not mean.
What does she do? What does she do to the guy?
She brings her ex-boyfriend around her new husband. That's what it is.
Would he rather that she goes off and sees him without?
I think she'd rather her not see him at all.
Well, this
is married life.
You need some couples counseling on that.
I'm sorry. Let me preface this. I'm married to a Puerto Rican Cuban. I don't know if anyone knows that yet.
And let me preface this by saying I am perpetually single and have no business giving anyone else advice. So, yeah.
Well, what do you think? I'm curious now what we think happens after that final scene where she breaks down in her, spoiler alert, breaks down in her husband's arms because of, sort of that, what could have been that other life.
I think that's her closure. I think she moves on.
I think it's actually very beautiful. I think it's sad in the way that it's sad, but I think that she chooses her husband. And, you know, and he himself wasn't sure if she wanted to choose him.
Yeah.
You know, so he gets his answer and she gets her answers. And, you know, these two friends get to like see each other and realize like what a gift it is they gave to each other. I did a whole cover story with Celine Song and Greta Lee about like really the ending is ultimately hopeful and optimistic.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful ending. It is. Yeah.
It's a catharsis cry, but it's also like, no, you know, it's I'm sad for what was lost, but also things work out.
Well,
Happy for what I have.
Yeah. Well, I also think it really highlights like, wouldn't we all just love some closure on some past things? Like,
people don't get that.
It's the yearn for closure. Like you're not saying you miss the person. You just want like that one last like discussion of be like, all right, it's over, we're good, and then you move on. So
it's a gift that they give each other.
That's exactly what Celine said. She said it was a gift. Yeah.
Well, I might be quoting her from my interview with her.
I think we both are.
But I think what's so beautiful about the film is that it could have gone the other way, where she does cheat on him, and we have another. You know, we've seen this a million times before, and instead you just have this beautiful story of a road that leads to closure and answers.
Nobody in it is bad or makes the bad stupid decision.
That's my I say as this is Celine Song, I said it is Sixth Sense level twist that John Magaro is not the bad guy.
No, he's lovely.
He's the most like heartfelt character. I still will never forgive the Academy for not nominating that man this year, because my favorite supporting performance of the year is John Magaro. That scene in the bed about you dream in Korean, and
stop.
Like that's the scene that makes me lose my face. I was bawling in.
Yes, but I am still very upset that Greta Lee wasn't nominated.
That too, yes.
We're all upset over that.
All of them.
All three of them are fantastic.
Yeah,
he really is.
Look at Mike, inspiring discussion about
passionate discussion.
Yes, welcome to Film Chats.
So let me give something to Mike. I watched the first 6 episodes of Love Is Blind, the new season.
Yes, same thing. Did you cry at the end? Did you bawl?
Sure did. That show, man, is just getting better and better as it goes, man. It's so delightful.
Is love blind? Is love blind?
Love is not blind. Love has eyes.
If we're talking TV, I need to ask Michael if you have seen the season finale of True Detective Night Country that airs this Sunday.
No, I have not yet. Purposely not.
So I did a Naiad Q&A last week, and we got to the end, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry we're out of time, because Jody was going to tell us how True Detective ends. And I thought that audience was going to slaughter me.
My gosh.
Yeah, you can't play.
But I was like, but I have seen it, and it's so good.
Yeah. No. Because of all this travel, I fell a couple weeks behind, so I need to catch up on my True Detective. So
I mean, you went TT ends in May, right? Right after Cannes.
Oh, I live here now. I live here in Pasadena at the
Isn't
hotel.
it in Pasadena? Right.
Yeah, it's at the Langham. This is my new. I'm living in this phone booth that I'm
not a
speaking
bad
to you
setup.
from. Yeah.
I've only been to Pasadena once since I lived here. I need to go visit.
Oh, it's wonderful. You should go visit the what's the arboretum there called? The Huntington.
The Huntington, yeah.
Yeah. Get some tea. There's so many great things there.
Go see some plays at the Pasadena Playhouse.
You can see plays in Los Angeles as well.
I can.
I've been once to the Rose Bowl, and then it took me 3 hours to get out, but I did go and watch Real Madrid and AC Milan play.
I've never been to the Rose Bowl. Never been.
It's hell.
I've never
Getting
been.
out is 3 hours, and it's hell, and you're like, football game was 90 minutes.
That's true with any stadium / trying to get out of SoFi these days.
Never been to SoFi. I
yeah.
really don't like crowds, and it's crazy. I'm going to the opening night of The Wiz tonight because my good friend Amber Ruffin wrote the book. And there's a big part of me that's well, I was going to say Clayton and Jazz have met Amber. Everyone here knows Amber. It is a testament to how much I love her that I'm going out on Valentine's Day to opening night of a theater show at the Pantages.
Well, you know what I've heard? Nobody beats The Wiz.
Nice.
I don't know what that's a reference to.
I think that was so, Mike. I'm so glad you brought that up. I thought I was learning as I got older. I thought it was just an East Coast thing. I didn't think people knew Nobody Beats the Wiz. I didn't know it was across the country because no one over here knows that reference.
No, I think you're right.
Paid for it. Don't know.
I think it is mostly a New York electronics store.
So do you know Sam Goody?
Yes.
Yes. It was like the Sam Goody of its time. There's something called The Wiz, and they had a commercial, Nobody Beats the Wiz, and then we found out that Best Buy beat the Wiz and a lot of other stores.
And then they went out of business. As a result.
But that was like my hangout place, man. You buy CDs. I bought my first Bone Thugs and Harmony. The first album I ever bought was from Nobody Beats the Wiz.
First of the month. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. Wow, I had no idea. I was trying to remember at some Q&A, probably for a British movie the other night, the name of Jazz. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Is it Nando's, the Indian restaurant that everyone loves?
Portuguese.
Oh, it's Portuguese. Oh boy, I was off. Yeah, I was like,
Beyonce
what's that place? Really? I was like, what's that place that's like, it's sort of like fast food, but everyone loves it in London.
This got too international now.
Yeah. McDonald's. It's called McDonald's.
McDonald's. So what's happening this week? BAFTA. The BAFTAs. Oh, more jazz stuff.
There you go.
More international.
It's gonna rain on Sunday.
Shocker.
BAFTAs on brand.
Before we do that, Clayton, you were at the Academy Awards luncheon.
I was.
Usually there's a report about who got the most applause.
My God, there's got to be an invention, right? There's got to be something that can like judge applause meters, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or the thing that was
you.
on. Yeah, me. Yeah. I think we're all in agreement. The loudest round of applause was Greta Gerwig.
Wow.
But like, who also got rapturous applauses? Paul Giamatti, Lily Gladstone, Carey Mulligan, which I was and Robert Downey Jr. However, this little footnote, he was the last one that was called, so that's kind of like, and he made a big production of getting up there, so typically that like just kind of helps the applause. But he did get a huge round of applause, and
why was he the last one called?
He just I can't tell you what their order like metrics are. Everyone says it's separate tables, and then they call everyone up one by one that is there. They don't, if you're not there, you don't get your name called. The only 3 acting nominees that didn't go were Jodie Foster, because she was telling people about the last episode of True Detective, Robert De Niro, and Danielle Brooks, because she's shooting in New Zealand. I know, can you imagine? Wait your whole life for this, then you came to the Oscar nominee luncheon.
Yeah, it's good to work though.
She'll still go to the Oscars, I take it?
I would assume that would be terrible if she couldn't go. Someone better let her out of that production.
Yeah.
What's she shooting? Do you know?
I'm supposed to know. Like, I think it's out there, but she's in New Zealand because she was there Oscar nomination day too. That was her video. Her there.
I tell you what I love about that Oscar luncheon is the class photo. I always love looking at it. This year, so many people, though, had their eyes closed.
They did. I felt so bad for them. And then I saw Maddie Lepetique that night for something with Maestro, and he was the one person in the photo. He's doing jazz hands, and all of his cohorts were making fun of him. They're like, "There's always one guy who steals focus."
Actually, Nick Bruno, Nimona director, like put up 2 peace signs or whatever. He was just choosing violence, and it was great.
It's not the actor stealing focus. It
wasn't. Yeah, they always say don't blink, and they take 3 shots, but they end up taking like 12.
I'm sure. I'm sure there isn't one that's perfect for everyone. They have to.
But it was interesting that Sammy Birch, God bless her heart, writer of May December, is like said like right in the center of like Martin Scorsese, Lily Gladstone, Robert Downey Jr., and she's just like, what am I doing here? like it does give you that serious bit of imposter syndrome. But the best part, this is what we should have started with. Anatomy of a Fall, the dog was there.
I did a press conference with the dog today.
Janelle?
Yes.
I knew they did this for you. There was no other reason. Like, if anyone saw the now video that went viral of Ryan Gosling, like not petting the dog, but like definitely his heart was like holding his heart for the dog and like just like falling in love with the dog. It was amazing. Billie Eilish got on the floor with the dog and like laid with it for like a while. Like everyone was just in love with the dog.
So I interviewed the dog today and asked who they were most starstruck by.
And they said,
and Messi actually mentioned Billie Eilish specifically.
Nice.
That's very cool.
That
I,
what a
I
great
thought I
moment
thought I
that
thought he
was.
was gonna cheat and say Sandra Hüller.
Wait,
Oh, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
wait, the dog
Um,
talks? I'm confused here. The dog talks?
No, the
No,
dog
it
doesn't
was
really
his
talk.
trainer.
Uh,
His trainer
I was going
Laura.
to be so impressed.
But she
Hack.
said
What a
the other
hack.
person that he was very excited to meet was Bradley Cooper.
Aw.
You mean Bradley Pooper?
Oh no.
Poopsie
Unsubscribe.
poopsie. Emma Stone. Mike Schneider, though, you haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall yet, right?
No, I have not. No.
So I'm not going to spoil this for you, but there is a part in the movie where the dog acts dead.
I reenacted that scene with him.
The dog
Oh my
did
gosh.
it. The dog did it at the luncheon. She made the dog act dead, and the people were like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!"
No,
the
it's
dog died."
disturbing.
It's really disturbing.
It's
Like
really, yeah. You see me in the
Yeah.
video. I look up and I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah,
and then
it's not
when
cool.
she calls it off, Messi jumps right back up, and it's like, it's so
Wow.
hard though doing a press conference with a dog because I'm trying to listen to the trainer and look at her, but there's this adorable, fluffy, good boy right at my feet, and
Yeah.
who's looking at me and wants belly rubs, and like, I just is so
Yeah.
hard. Wilbur is gonna be so mad
Yeah.
when I get home.
So I was
He's
going
gonna
to say
be jealous.
just like Clayton.
Yeah,
Like doing a panel with Clayton.
yeah.
Always asking for those belly rubs.
Yeah, that's what I do. But no, so the nominee luncheon was great, and then a bunch of them are heading off to BAFTA now for the weekend, where we will see what the international vote does. And spoiler alert, because by the time this is up, you'll see. I predict that Oppenheimer will become the most winning film in BAFTA history. Anything more than 9 is the record, and I think Oppenheimer's going to win 10.
Wow.
I think you're
BAFTA.
right.
At BAFTA.
I think you're right.
Now, people are going to thank you for saying that, Janelle, because I think people are going to misread that and then say it's going to win 10 Oscars. And I don't think it's winning 10 Oscars, but I think it's going to win 10 BAFTAs.
It's gonna win 20 Oscars, Clayton says.
Yeah. I think
All
it's
the,
actually,
all the new categories they've added at the last minute. Like,
oh, wait, casting. Oh, we
Casting.
we have a casting Oscar. Well
And-
done.
Freaking tastic.
Amazing.
Such an
Amazing.
easy layup. Good for you, Academy. Long overdue. Bring stunts next. Bring voice performance.
Choreography.
I wouldn't mind choreography, but we need more musicals. I feel like, I'm not saying that it's just
Yeah.
order musicals choreography, but
Stunts definitely next.
stunts
please.
are. I think stunts are incoming.
well, this is my question before was why is there not a creative arts Oscars? You know, we had the creative arts Emmys that goes into all of the artisan categories.
Because not everybody wants to be the Emmys, Mike.
No, but honestly, the answer is, Mike, is that we've done it so long like this that people, when you institute change, people get mad about it. And now listen,
Yeah.
they're the Oscar enthusiasts, us minus Mike, right? That you can make the show 6 hours and I'll watch. Like,
Right.
I want a good show. I don't care how long it is. I just want a good show. So you can put all of them, let them talk as long as they want. However, more of America isn't like that, and they want a good, tight 3-hour show. And if they're obsessed with that number, if that is really what we're going to be forever, then Mike is correct. I think we either need to do a creative arts type thing, and I think maybe you could still do it. The year of Dune, when they moved the 8 categories off the ceremony, people would have been okay with it if they would have live streamed it on Hulu or
Exactly.
something.
Or
Yes,
put it up
yeah.
somewhere. Yeah.
People would have been fine. They wouldn't have cared. They would have been like, I mean, they would have cared, but they wouldn't have been as mad. But they
Yeah.
wouldn't have been as mad because they would have been like, people my parents can still watch me live as I win and watch my full speech. The Tonys do this every year, and they do it brilliantly. They do this early part of the show, which is Act 1, and they cut it into the real show, and it's seamless. And
Well, the Grammys does it too. The
Grammys have 90
pre-ceremony.
categories. Yeah.
So does Spirit Awards to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everyone does it. But again, Oscars, you wanted to go first of life and stuff like that. And this is now the price you pay. So eventually we need to get to because the other answer is, and I hate that this could be the answer, the shorts moving to the Governor's Awards, I think, is an option as well. Because if people don't know what the shorts are, I know what the shorts are because I follow this business and I barely know the shorts.
Yeah.
People don't watch the shorts. It's so crazy when you're like, wait, have you seen like Nene and Waco, for example?
Unfortunately, and listen, it's the birth of a filmmaker. I love what they represent. It's where you see diversity and all that. But right now, they're just the bathroom breaks and whether or not you win your Oscar pool. And that's sad truth, but it's true.
I'm not disagreeing. It hurts me to say that because I love shorts and I follow them avidly, but I totally understand what you're saying. And also, some of the, I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to quit while I'm ahead. But yeah, the difference between like a 3-hour show and a 3.5-hour show, it makes me laugh that they're so desperate to keep it to 3.
Yeah, especially since there's always a fight every year about keeping all the musical performances a part of the show. Sometimes they'll do some and not all, and people get mad at that. So if you want all the awards and 5 musical performances, then we got to think of something. And I think Mike is the answer here. Mike, do what Mike says. Make the Emmys.
Always the answer. Always listen to me.
And you can do it earlier that day. You could do it like at 2:00, right? And then just like run it through an hour, but just live stream it and then cut it into the show, and it works great.
I mean, that's where you get extra money too. If you're the Academy, you sell the Creative Arts Oscars to Netflix or to a streamer, and that way the streamers get their little taste of the Oscars.
Mm-hmm. I always would want to. So, Mike, when they do creative arts, is that separate, typical deal, like money wise, like broadcast rights?
Yeah, because the Creative Arts Emmys are just on FXX every year for whatever reason. It's not a lucrative deal, but that's separate from the network wheel deal. So in this case, like, I'd be curious. I mean, maybe Disney would want to just say, well, no, let's do a separate deal and put it on Hulu. But either way, like, you could, like, the real Oscars enthusiasts would tune into Hulu to watch the Creative Arts Oscars.
Yeah,
because you'd still get celebrities showing up. Maybe it's becomes a part of the all the nominated folks will still show up to the Creative Arts, and who knows? But there we go. We solved Hollywood.
We solved Hollywood. Done.
Yeah.
Mike producing.
Great, because I gotta go.
Oh, enjoy Amber Ruffin show and tell her we said hi, but not Mike.
No, tell her nobody beat the Wiz at the very end.
She'll get that.
She'll get it
East
because she's
Coaster.
from New York. There you go.
Yeah.
And pay me residuals for that joke.
All right, now cause a lot of trouble while I'm gone. What are you guys going to talk about?
About you. We're going to talk about Janelle.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh.
Have fun.
Thank you.
And after BAFTA, is SAG Awards next week.
What's after BAFTA?
After BAFTA is
Thank
SAG
God I'm going.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the anticlimactic DGA Awards.
DGA. Oh God, the longest awards.
Was there
longest
anything,
award show in history.
anything
But
to say
we
there?
did get an upset in TV. Last of Us beat 4 Succession episodes, and a very well-deserved Last of Us episode 1.
Now that is a classic. Like
That's
canceled each
purity
other
choice.
out. Yeah.
Yes. I was like, I'm pleased with you all. Thank you. That honestly is the best direction of television.
We did have a shocker though at the same night. I wasn't there because I was in Santa Barbara, but we had the Art Director Guild Awards where Barbie didn't win when we thought it would, right?
I've been kind of on an island by myself that now everyone wants to come move to this island now because it's cool over here. I thought that Poor Things could be Barbie for a while now there because I just thought like it's more up the Academy's alley. And that ADG double victory was like, yeah, there it is. That's all I needed to know. So I gave this comparison before. I think Barbie it could end up being like a Star is Born and just win song, but I think Greta could still pull off adapted screenplay. But we'll see. But I think
there's a world where. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think Poor Things is going to win production design and costumes. I think it's going to win both.
I think costume. Here's a scenario I thought of though. There's a world where Barbie and Poor Things split, and Oppenheimer rises up through the middle.
The's also that too. Oppenheimer, maybe Oppenheimer does win like 12 Oscars.
It just wins everything.
It just wins everything.
Yeah.
And then ADG. So we have BAFTA. We have SAG next week. Where we will finally say goodbye to Succession. Finally,
Yeah.
it's finally over. Bye, Succession. Thanks
Succession.
for everything.
Yeah.
It's gonna win. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if the actor's gonna win, but I think the show's gonna win. And then I think but I do think Barbie's gonna win ensemble at SAG. Not that it's not gonna mean anything. Let me tell everyone that now. I don't think it means anything like to the picture race, but I think Barbie's gonna win ensemble.
Okay.
And then hopefully we'll see who emerges on the Best Actress front. If it's Lily Gladstone or Emma Stone or Michael Schneider Stone.
Yeah.
Or Annette Bening.
Annette Bening Stone. Yep. Did you see, I don't know if you saw this video, Mike, of the video I caught of Annette Bening and Mark Ruffalo having a conversation. I know they weren't arguing, but it looked so intense that they were talking. It looked like she was yelling at him. It looked like he was taking it, but obviously they were just having a conversation, having a nice, refreshing talk. It was Kids All Right reunion. Reminding me of that movie again. Which you probably have never seen.
I have.
Have you?
Good movie. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm proud.
I love that video. I was like, what are they? What are they? I couldn't, my brain was just like not able to come up with a smart caption.
Mike, I do have a very important question. This is what we'll end on. Shogun premiered yesterday.
Yes.
Did you go?
I did.
And is it as great as we're thinking it's about to be?
Yeah, and it looked fantastic on the big screen. And so that definitely helped that screening, just seeing it, like the visually, it's give it all the Artisans Awards. I mean, the sound is great, the music is great, the visuals, it's
the cast I hear is there's two women that are the lead, right? Two leads, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. It's a feast, I would say.
They shot that in Vancouver, and I still can't get over that. They did not shoot that in Japan at all, and I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna win." I have
a buddy that's so excited for that show, and he says, "You don't understand how depressed I am that it's only a limited series. It's not a drama series."
Can I was meant to go, but I had to moderate Godzilla -1, and for the VFX team, I've never seen anything so crazy in my life than last night, aside from Del Toro. Like, it's the fandom for that movie, like
Godzilla. Yeah. I think it's going to win visual effects. I think it's going to pull it off.
I think it's going to do it.
I think it's crazy.
I think it's going to do it. This little underdog called Godzilla.
But with that, Michael,
who do we have this week?
We have Lily Gladstone, really Lily Gladstone Stone.
Yeah.
She's here. And as is Tony McNamara, writer of Poor Things.
Ooh.
Boom.
Australian Tony McNamara, not British Tony McNamara.
Too many Tony McNamaras.
No, I just don't know accents. Because I definitely thought Jacob Elordi was British this whole time, and someone corrected me and said, no, he's Australian. I don't think I can really tell the accents very well. It's Jazz. She's ruining it.
We need an Australian. Yeah, we need to have an.
No,
Australian
we don't. No, we don't. We don't need an Australian. We're not taking more. Here.
All right. Well, let's go forth and listen to this.
Go forth and
episode,
prosper.
And we'll see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
After the break, we talk to Killers of the Flower Moon star Lily Gladstone. From Los Angeles, this is the Awards Circuit Podcast.
For your consideration, Max presenting The Last of Us, the HBO original series starring Pedro Pascal as Joel, a hardened survivor hired to smuggle Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, out of an oppressive quarantine zone. What starts as a small job soon becomes a brutal and heartbreaking journey as they depend on each other for survival. Don't miss the critically acclaimed series Empire calls a masterpiece. Nominated for 4 SAG Awards, including Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Drama Series. The Last of Us is now streaming on Max.
And we're back. It's the Variety Awards Circuit Podcast, and I'm Michael Schneider. Based on David Grann's 2017 nonfiction book, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI, the Oscar-nominated Killers of the Flower Moon tells the tragic true story of members of the Osage tribe who were murdered under suspicious circumstances during the 1920s. Lily Gladstone's work as Molly Burkhart, an Indigenous woman at the center of a sinister plot, has been nominated for Best Actress, making history as the first Native American woman to be nominated in the category.
He told me you was going with Matt Williams for a time.
You talk too much.
Oh, I don't talk too much. Just thinking who I got to beat in this horse race, that's all.
I didn't realize this was a race. I don't care for watching horses.
Well, I'm a different kind of horse.
Onkashi. Shomikasi shieko shiajimi.
What was that?
Shomikasi. That's how you are.
I don't know what you said, but it must have been Indian for handsome devil.
Killers of the Flower Moon itself landed 10 Oscar noms, including Best Picture, Director, Supporting Actor, Production Design, Cinematography, Costume Design, Film Editing, Original Score, and Original Song. Just hours after attending the Oscars nominee luncheon, Gladstone came into the Variety Awards Circuit podcast studio on Cloud 9 and spoke to Variety's Clayton Davis about the impact of her Oscar nomination. She also talks about her next film, Fancy Dance, which premiered at Sundance. Also, the push for Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, to finally change their name, and so much more. Clayton began by asking Gladstone if the Oscar nomination had finally sunk in.
That one really hit when I read the Fancy Dance acquisition announcement. It's like, I mean, I knew that was I had that intel just before Christmas. That was a great Christmas gift. But getting to see it in print, Academy Award nominee, it's that was, I think, the first time it actually hit in like a really meaningful way. But yeah, it's wild. It's super wild. I mean, I glanced at my phone for a second and I have a text from maybe Annette Bening. I know it's Annette. We just exchanged numbers, but
because we were talking right after the nominees luncheon, where all the troublemakers of Hollywood come to hang out and have their annual meeting.
Yep.
And I remember hearing your name called, and I think you were, if I remember my video of them capturing, you're in the vicinity of like a RDJ. I think you were kind of near Marty again. Like it was just like,
oh, they sat me in between Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese. You know, talk about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But also like, cool. I'm just happy I got to sit next to
You should
Marty.
be like, you two should fight like right now. Just like start some beef. It's like crazy.
Now kiss.
Now just come together. No, listen, Molly Burkhart, what you deliver in Killers of the Flower Moon, pretty extraordinary. And I've said this very often, so you've heard this before, but people haven't heard this. I knew the band when the band was cool because I was there for certain women.
Thank you. Yes, you were.
And I told the world, I shamed them then, and I said, we're gonna get her back, and you guys are gonna understand what I'm talking about. And now we're here, and now everyone acts like this is a great band, and it is. But I listened to the old records too. They're great.
You were there when we were still playing basement shows.
Yeah. So the Kelly Reichardt basement shows.
Oh yeah,
those would be
Kelly
amazing.
Reichardt is the cinematic equivalent to a basement show.
Yeah, for sure. So looking now at everything that's gone on, and there's still always the looming thing of this is a great moment for you, a great moment in your life, career, on the backdrop of a true story that is terrible and events that are terrible that we have to educate the world on. How's that been, of that balance of just being happy for what's happening, but also like what had to happen in order for something like this to happen? Yeah.
I mean, ever since I got the role, it's always, the very first reminder of where this was all grounded is in the Osage Nation. And, I was offered the role on Molly Burkhart's birthday, which was by no one's design, but it was just the immediate, like, kind of signature on it for me that it's like, okay, you're playing a real person that lived through all of this real situation. And, honestly, I think people remark at how even-keeled I seem through all of this and how well I seem to be doing, and I think it's because it's shared. It's, I'm maybe doing a few more interviews or maybe taking to a few more carpets or events, but like almost every single major one that I go to, there are Osage people there. Jeffrey Standing Bear was there earlier today. Scott George's nomination. I mean, it's only right that if this film has exalted like so many of, us in the industry, so many of us who do this for a living and who like got into film to make films. I'm grateful that if I've got this historic nomination in hand, now I get to share it with an Osage community, with an Osage man, with his singers that he works with. And it's, I think all of the elation, it's, when it's shared and when it's spread out amongst so many people, it makes it feel a lot more manageable. Yeah. And I think it's, I'm grateful for, I kind of feel like this film in so many ways has had its own agency, that it was made when it wanted to be made. Yeah. If it had been made any earlier, then we wouldn't have been filming some of these things on the exact 100-year anniversary of when they happened. I remember we were shooting the night that Anna Brown was murdered on the 100-year anniversary. I was watching Cara Jade Myers get into the car with Scott Shepherd and drive off, and thinking like that was what Molly would have seen exactly 100 years. That was the last time she saw her sister. And then just those parting words, that came from Wilson Pipestem, who's a dear friend now. I've known from the community for years. He's a very successful, renowned lawyer. He's Osage. And he does a lot of work in Indian country at large. So he was one of the first people that I connected with when I got there in a personal way. And he imparted this idea of to have a sister is to have wealth, is to be wealthy. So that last line is there's who knows how it actually had gone down that evening. The account that Anna had come over and kind of caused a ruckus and had left with Byron. But having that moment for as Molly to get to say to Anna that you are my wealth, just contextualizing that's what this film is really about, is about these families, this community that really lost everything because they were losing each other. Yeah. So it's a counterbalance, back home we talk about this, that it's always important to remember what our ancestors went through. And back on my res, we have a yearly commemoration of the Baker's Massacre, and it was, kind of a story that a lot of nations on the plains had at this time. The cavalry was going out and looking for, war parties, looking for people that they were, had targeted. And they were out looking for owl chiefs people, but they came upon Heavy Runners Band, which is all men, women, children, elders, or women, are pretty much children, women, and elders, and not many warriors. And they're like, oh, this is good enough. And they wiped out an entire group of people. So we commemorate that yearly. And, just talking to some folks back there, one of my favorite things that I heard that I carry with me is that those spirits out on that land, when we go out there and we sing for them and we pray for them, singing mourning songs, singing songs that, just, you don't want to remind these spirits that they lived through trauma. It's like you don't want to just keep reminding them if they're still there, which, we believe they are. These things really weigh heavy and stay in the land that remembers, that marked the passage of time, because land marks the passage of time and holds the memory of these things. And we really felt that while we were filming Killers as well. But yeah, the spirits of the people and the, really the communities that went through it don't want to constantly live in that trauma. So we go out there and we sing happy songs, and we celebrate, we laugh. It's like those, if they're hanging around, they want to hear happiness. So I feel like the celebration of just the amount of hard work, the amount of heart that people put into it, really touched by the level of ownership that a lot of the community has over this movie, and is expressed over their contributions and, sculpting this film. So I think it's, it goes hand in hand. And I think a lot of people who understand what it is to survive as a society, as a culture, as a people, you continue forward by remembering what you've been through, what your people have been through, but you do it in a celebratory, uplifting way. It's like the only way you can kind of keep doing it.
Very well said. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Looking now to your co-stars, Razzie-worthy co-stars, Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, just guys have really been scraping the bottom of the barrel here. But like, I've been meaning to ask you something that's such a silly question, but, cause you and I are roughly about the same age, 21. And, I'm wondering, like, as I thought of this actually, like, right after I saw the movie the first time, there's a scene like you and Leo are kissing the scene. And I thought, like, Lily was my age when, like, Titanic came out, and Leo was Leo at that point. And did you ever think to yourself, like, I'm going to kiss Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie, like, in 25 years or something? Like, does that, like, ever,
yes.
like, yeah. Because you know how many, my best friend who's a female, like, she proclaimed that she would kiss Leo one day, and it didn't happen. So I want to know if you had said that when you were 13, or if it was just like what did that? When did that kick in that you were like, oh, Leo is here, and it's Leo, and I can call him Leo, and he responds, Lily.
I mean, for a while he just would call me Molly. So we got to a point where we were actually calling each other's names. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. When I don't know if it ever really sunk in. I don't know if it had a chance to sunk in before he just became a good friend. I think I may have been a little overly irreverent of his celebrity at first, maybe because just trying to prove something or keep my walls up and try to not be so distracted by the star power. But I mean, it came out anyways. Like, my hands were shaking the whole time we were doing our first scene together.
What was that?
That was the first date. That was the
Really?
Molly inviting Ernest in for dinner. That was the first thing he and I shot together. Which,
by the way, if you've seen that scene play out now, it's like
that was
perfect.
day one, folks. And that was I'm so glad that we got a chance to do that, because
You're like, good, don't touch me. Don't, like, talk to me. Let's
Right.
just sit here in silence.
Yep.
The rain.
It gave us the perfect springboard for the rest of it. I think it was a good design that we got that one in the can first.
Oh, for sure.
It was it's a blessing to get to do that kind of scene work with somebody, because, if you just look at the transcription of the scene, it's so much in the beats. It's so much in the pacing. I love how in some ways that scene feels almost Chekhovian. It takes a couple of, logical sort of, not logical. It takes a couple of, like, diversions the way conversations do before they come back around. It's like you've got the light little misunderstandings written in. It's just the texture of that piece, the way it was written. It was such a good one to settle into work with another actor on. And these two are really kind of learning each other in that moment as well. So I felt like that was a pretty brilliant touch.
It's super appropriate.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Leo, I'd been a fan of since, I don't remember if I saw This Boy's Life or Gilbert Grape first, but around the same time.
Yeah, and those are the ones that kind of do it for...
Yeah, and I just remember his performances in there made me want... It was part of, like, as a young girl who, wanted to perform, like, that kind of... It's like, okay, that's what an actor, like a young actor, can do. And even though I was 8 or so when I saw that, and I think he was 16... when he'd shot it, so he was probably 18 when it came out. I don't know. I don't know the math. It still felt like people that I'd known. Like, my mom taught early childhood special ed, so I spent a lot of time in the classroom with kids with special needs. I'd go in with her, and I felt like I knew Arnie, like, so well, and I was kind of amazed that wasn't just Leo. And then This Boy's Life, I also had a number of friends who had difficult home situations, and like, you have a protectiveness over them. And I remember feeling that watching his early work, but also just thinking, like, wow, I want to do that. So
it's funny, a very weird thing. This Boy's Life made me hate mustard. I swear, I've always not liked mustard, but I was really like, I'm never gonna touch mustard because
because
he didn't empty the jar. It's like such a killer, like, scene.
Really?
God. Looking within Killers of the Flower Moon, and I'm really excited for this moment that you're having, and I was actually talking about this with America Ferrera as well. Underrepresented communities, like this is yours, but we have to celebrate each other. Like I'm taking your win as my win too. Like this is all of us as we should. But then I always have the follow up, but what about the next one? Like this better not be the only time I see Lily Gladstone. Like, I still, and this has to go through like history. Hollywood is going through a moment where they're trying to figure out, lack of a better term, what to do with us, like what to do with Latinos, Blacks, Native Americans, Asians. Like they thought of us so long in one box. And well, I love Killers. That's not the only thing that Lily Gladstone could do. I want to see the rom-com Lily Gladstone.
You'll get it.
We're Coleman Domingo. I've said this. I think you and Coleman Domingo, I think you guys will make a really good movie together. I don't know what it is. I don't know who directs it.
I agree. We made plans earlier. When this all settles down, we're gonna have a meal and we're gonna get a chance to like just get into it.
What kind of roles do you want to play? What do you want to do in this business, right? That's always like a good question. Like, I'm a job genie. What do you want to do? I
mean, I'm looking forward to, I can't explicitly say what it is yet because, but I'm looking forward to a rom-com ensemble comedy that I get to shoot this summer, which is good. I'm very much looking forward to getting to dive into my favorite screenwriter of all time. Like, I mean, this man's written probably 3 of my top 10 favorite films. Doing an adaptation of Yoko Ogawa's novel The Memory Police, adapted by Charlie Kaufman. And Reed Morano is directing, and Marty has come on as an executive producer. So if I could go back in time and just like tell my younger self that you're gonna be in a Charlie Kaufman movie.
Yeah.
Because
by the way, Reed Morano, another one, knew the band early. Love Meadowland. Meadowland is like such a great cinematographer, filmmaker. She's an angel. She's an angel. I love working with cinematographers. A lot of times they're the first collaborator you have on set because your director is away from camera a lot of time. Away in Village or set up with a monitor, and they don't get to you first. And it's like, actors, one thing that's great about theater is you get the immediate feedback from your audience, but on set, your audience has to keep it contained because it's going to ruin a take if they react. So I oftentimes just look to the DP, and I think DPs and directors are so hand in hand, and I think DPs make fantastic directors. They are. They're finding the story and a lot of times first. Also explains why Rodrigo's going to direct. He has a movie coming this year. Yes. He's in post for that. He's so I can't so wait. Close. Me too. Oh, that's interesting. I can't. Reed's just an absolute angel, and she's been. I didn't realize that I knew her work before she reached out to me with this project, and it was so touching. She's had it for a couple of years. She loved this book. She said her producing partner is just like, aim big, ask your favorite writer to do it. So she did, and he said yes. And then she held it for a couple years because she just couldn't imagine who she would want to collaborate with to play the novelist until she saw Killers. Yeah. And same, it's like you want to be very protective and kind of precious with whatever the film is that you do next after all of this, because I think it kind of sets the tone for all the rest of your work, right? So it was, it was incredible. I think every creative, when a project really wants to be and when it works, it's like the magnetism of people and like everybody being on the same page artistically is just magic. And so far, it's been lovely with Reed. I can't wait to get going on that one. Because you mentioned it now, I'm so curious because I always want to know the origins of cinephiles. What are some of your favorite movies of all time? What are those things that touched the soul and made you do it? One of the very first epics that just pulled me in and I watched over and over again just from childhood is Willow. And I think it taught me how to spot perspective, especially in directors. It's just so clearly Ron Howard, but it's so outside of anything else you've seen Ron Howard do, but you just feel it. It's the most un-Ron Howard movie that he's probably ever made. Fully, and I think that's why it's so great. Yeah.
I also watched a lot of films with my parents that maybe I didn't fully embrace or understand when I was a kid. They might have been above my head, but when I revisited them as adults, realized how much they actually shaped the rest of my taste in film. Being There was a big one in my childhood. Harold Maude, Brother from Another Planet, Buckaroo Banzai was an absolute favorite.
Really?
I mean, my parents liked indies. My parents liked the little cult classic things. I remember just feeling like I'd really discovered something all mine when I first saw Jim Jarmusch's films. It was so exciting to see Gary Farmer in Dead Man. Like, just he pops up so fully Gary, and the small moment that Michelle Thrush has in there as well. It's so funny.
Some of the jams.
Yeah, just it's a lot. It's just going through now I'm just like walking through all of the decades of filmmakers.
Well, looking at the influences of today, and I've seen you clap so enthusiastically every time they mention Reservation Dogs somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like the best show that people aren't watching kind of thing. It's like one of those.
Absolutely.
And God bless FX for I would say for trying to get it out there. Because I think they're not, the world isn't used to seeing oh wait, this is just Indigenous teens being it's not a period piece. It's
Right.
Were you bummed that we're only at 3 seasons of that? It was made for
yes and no, but what I'm really thankful for in that is Sterling and the creative team got to call when it ended. It wasn't one of those shows that all right, we're just going to yank it. I as far as I understand, there was great interest in doing more seasons and continuing it on. I mean, Sterling has got he's an indie filmmaker in his heart. He loves features. He's ready to get back into film. Yeah. He and all the writers in that room were pulling so much from personal experience that can just be an incredibly exhaustive process. They the whole concept of the show came from losing a friend to suicide and revisiting that constantly, finding ways of, I understand this as a native who is a storyteller and often is telling stories to non-natives, is you're spending a lot of your time just catching people up on 101 stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to try and pack into, it's a lot for one person to try to process and carry and speak for, because we can't speak for everything that we want to speak about. But the show, I think, is so successful because it strikes that chord that we, I was kind of speaking to earlier, in all of these tragedies, you also are laughing. And in one show, you're cracking into this, this horrendous history of boarding schools, watching people lose close friends at too young of an age, being punished for speaking their language. I thought it was so brilliant to use that as a device, as an origin story for an oral tradition, a fixture in Oklahoma and, elsewhere too. Blackfeet have our own version of Dear Lady, Wolverine Woman. But yeah, these fixtures in oral tradition that are fixtures for a reason. They carry certain stories which carry certain lessons in them. And this is a woman who avenges people and goes after bad men. So to tie that to this history of boarding schools, it's like you're getting, it's immense to get those two things into one episode and to draw that parallel as a writer. To I was so blessed with the character I got to play in that show, which also comes from Migazi Pensano, the writer of the First Time You See Hochty in episode 9 of season 2. And he and Dallas Goldtooth, they're brothers. Dallas was William Knifeman, the comic relief through the whole show. But Miggsy told me that he and Dallas have an uncle who's incarcerated that is also kind of a healer and kind of a medicine person, or at least a very wise person that really guided both of them, and they would have to go visit him incarcerated. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that show got to call it when it wanted to, and it's also... There's so many talented natives on that show who are now free to do what they want to do and have had this little elevation and are going on to do incredible things. Like, nobody on the show is going anywhere.
Good. I have 2 more questions, and then I have a fun round robin game that's going to, I'm sure you're going to find so much fun. I wanted to ask you, because Santa Barbara Film Festival was a few days ago, and I want you, if you offer some clarification, because it got some headlines when you were talking about the Super Bowl and one of the teams playing. I want to know if you wanted to elaborate on some of.
I mean, honestly, you could hold both teams accountable to it, 'cause 49ers is based in the gold rush in California, which was an incredibly brutal period of time for California Indians. So there's that. Yep. And then the Chiefs, there's a lot of ways that you could wear the name Chief. There's a lot of different things. It's not the name as much that bothers me. It's, hearing that damn tomahawk chop just every time. It's, it's a stark reminder of really what Hollywood has done to us, because that tomahawk chop goes directly to like the sound of, oh, here come the Indians, and these old westerns, where we were not playing ourselves, or if we were, we were like backdrop actors, like just pretty much there to get shot, but just this claiming of that sound, and this saying that it's in honor of, but really
ignoring the history and pain that goes with it.
I think, and the commodification of who we are as people. I mean, in general, there was a study that was done around the time that the Washington team was, people were pushing them to change their name. Just a blanket survey of people on the street, I think in Chicago, 40% of people asked didn't think that Native Americans actually existed anymore. They thought we were basically all wiped out, or people don't bring us into a modern age. We're kind of, if we don't look and behave the way that we are in those westerns, then we must not actually be Native. And it's like you see so little representation up to this point in time, and then you just see this fervent fandom around claiming whatever that strange identity is, and it just makes me think of William Hale in Killers of the Flower Moon. It's like it wasn't enough for him to take Osage people's wealth to be living in Osage lands. He also wanted to appoint himself king of the Osage Hills. He learned the language. He collected the art. It's like he almost completely absorbed the identity. He took that too. Yeah. And I think people need to, I understand what it is to really care about and feel like you're part of something. But yeah, that tomahawk chop, it just really does feel like a mockery, and it's directly correlated to the way that we see ourselves as Native people. Like our kids have the highest suicide rate of any demographic in the country, and a lot of that is tied to how the media tells them they are. It's when you don't see yourself represented, or when you do see yourself represented, it's in such a either fetishized or distorted or just downright like mocking kind of way. It shapes your sense of self and what you're capable of doing in the world. And it's time to retire. Like on one team looking into the history in California, we're sitting here and I'm looking out the window at these California hills on Tongva land, and thinking about what the California Gold Rush did to California tribes. You know, it was just last month, several weeks ago, out with Luis Senio Band at Palm Springs. Was out with Agua Caliente, and there was a cultural exchange between Agua Caliente and Osage. Osage people came over and were talking about this shared history because that was the story of Palm Springs as well. And it's really not that deep in our history, and the remnants of it are, you know, very clearly taking up this billions and billions of dollars of ad space. Yep. And, you know, I just was looking yesterday, just kind of joking around about all the things that Siri answers when you talk to Siri. Mm-hmm. You know, and like if you ask Siri how much wood would a woodchuck chuck, if a woodchuck could chuck wood, she's got brilliant answers. Mm-hmm. So I was playing that game in the car with our driver yesterday. And then I was curious what were the most asked questions Siri gets. And it's diverted me to Google. What are the most asked questions on Google? And the number 5 most asked question is, when is the Super Bowl? So it's an incredible, you know, it's the center of, in a lot of ways, American culture revolves around the Super Bowl. And then this year, seeing both teams, it's like, damn it.
Yeah. It could be a really good opportunity to cleanse some of that and just try to, you know, I don't know what's like, move forward, like so, there's something that I can just like,
and if you can't move forward, look into the origins of football. Learn who Jim Thorpe is. Learn about Pop Warner and the Carlisle football team. American football is inextricably shaped by American Indians at boarding school. I think it's great to love the game. It's great to love your players. I mean, I love watching the commercials. Mm-hmm. Love the halftime show. You know, a lot of love to Usher.
Can we stop on that for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because me and my wife are in a full-blown argument right now about who gets to marry Alicia Keys next. I realized when she came on, I'm not over my ex. She's right there. We got into an argument about it. She was like, I can date her. I was like, I don't think you can. I can. So we are in a full-blown argument that Usher, Mike, and I'm going to say to you what I told everyone. I warned the world, do not buy roller skates. We cannot do what he did. We are going to hurt ourselves. That's for you too, Lily Gladstone. We cannot buy roller skates. I'm telling myself that.
Oh, no,
I cannot buy roller skates.
I will never put my feet in roller skates again.
Okay. Last fun question. Who you bringing to the Oscars? I think I know this answer, but who you bringing?
I'm bringing my mom.
As you should.
I'm hoping to bring my dad too. He's definitely got the invite. Yeah. And I'm just happy. I'm also going to be there with a bunch of Osage people because of, you know, like I said, sharing this historic nomination with another historic nomination.
Oh, mom's great. And then the fun game. This is rapid fire. I will preface it with understand this may not be your real answer. It's just the first answer that comes to your head, and it's all around your co-stars and and the people that made your film. Favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie?
Oh.
I
mean, I don't want to say Killers of the Flower Moon because that's an obvious one. You know, the one that I did for maybe 30 seconds in middle school, had a crush on Leo, was Man in the Iron Mask.
Really?
I know. I mean, I was middle school. But I think the duality that he pulled off in that, and I only had a crush on half of him in that movie. Yeah. It was Philip, you know, the sweet one.
Sure.
But yeah, I think like that movie, I remember thinking he's kind of bringing both of those aspects, this dual nature of just like this total sweetheart and this total bastard, into one character.
Interesting. All right. I did not expect that one.
Other than that, The Aviator. Yeah. I mean, The Aviator is incredible.
De Niro. Favorite De Niro performance?
Oh, that's a good question, too. Maybe just because I was just talking about it, but I think This Boy's Life was incredible.
I usually go for Raging Bull typically, but but you know what he's very underrated, great in is I don't know if you've ever seen it. Everybody's Fine.
No, I haven't.
It's one of his, like, it's 2010, I think. He plays a widower that goes to travel the country, like, tell his kids to come together for, like, Thanksgiving. And he is heartbreaking in it. It is, like, incredible. Favorite John Lithgow movie?
Buckaroo Banzai.
There was, like, no hesitation there. Brendan Fraser.
Oh, Brendan Fraser.
I always know what I'm supposed to say, and then I know what I do say. So go ahead.
No, yeah. Oh, the name of it. It was one of the things that I referenced so much in relation to Killers of the Flower Moon. Quiet American.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I mean, I think
he's really good in that movie.
He's amazing in that movie.
Yeah.
And the Brendan Fraser I was introduced to as a kid was George of the Jungle. And then Adam and what was it? The Alicia Silverstone one where they...
Blast from the Past.
Blast from the Past.
Were you not brought up on Encino Man?
Oh, thank you. Yes, Encino Man. Yep.
That raised me.
I mean, you meet Brendan Fraser as like this goofy, hunky actor, but then it's like he's a really, really good dramatic actor. And he actually trained at Cornish College in Seattle, and that was where I wanted to go for several years. I ended up going to University of Montana, but yeah, he was kind of a local fixture.
Look at that.
Because of that.
We're all just trying to be like Brendan Fraser. Favorite Eric Roth script?
Oh, there's so many good ones, but I'm just sticking with all the childhood movies. Forrest Gump. And when I talked to him about that, I told him that. He's like, really?
That's my second favorite movie that's acceptable.
It's such a good movie.
I hate that the internet has turned on it all these years later.
Why?
It is it is good, wholesome cinematic.
It's fantastic.
I love it so much. But secret number 2 is Munich. It is underrated, probably one of Spielberg's best. And
God, Eric Bana.
And then last big question. Dream role. You have anything you want right now. You can do it. If I can greenlight it for you, what's the role you'd want to play? Whether you feel whether you could sing or not, whatever you wanted to do.
I still want to be an Ewok.
Still want to be an Ewok,
or at least Ewok adjacent. Just give the Ewoks another major movie.
The Ewoks.
I could. I don't. Except I don't feel like the Ewoks are very hierarchical. So.
Do you feel like the Ewoks got a really bad rap? Like
they did historically. I mean, look at how good and successful Rogue One was, just to kind of dispel the haters who were talking about this vent in the Death Star. It's like, okay, here's a whole movie about it, and it's going to be the best movie in the canon. So, if we're gonna be talking about that, the Ewoks
Star
need their
Wars,
time.
Man, that's what we need.
Mm-hmm. Get me in there.
That's Oscar-nominated Killers of the Flower Moon star Lily Gladstone. The film is now streaming on Apple TV+. Actors often talk about how freeing it is to play characters that live in the moment, and it's a sentiment that Poor Things screenwriter Tony McNamara understands. McNamara just earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. He was previously nominated for his original screenplay for 2018's The Favorite. Both films were directed by Yorgos Lanthimos and featured Oscar-nominated turns by Emma Stone. Adapted from the Alistair Gray novel, Poor Things centers on Bella Baxter, a young woman in Victorian-era London who is brought back to life when a scientist, played by Willem Dafoe, implants a baby's brain in her body. Curious, childlike, and not understanding the mores of society, Bella goes on a journey of self-discovery that includes running off with unscrupulous lawyer Duncan Wedderburn, played by Mark Ruffalo, encountering poverty for the first time, and working in a brothel. McNamara, who began his career in theater and created the acclaimed and recently canceled Hulu series The Great, spoke to Janelle Riley about his collaboration with Lanthimos, what we would have expected from a 4th season of The Great, and how he came up with that infamous line about punching a baby. She began by asking him about the Oscar luncheon.
It was good. I love the Oscar luncheon. It was, it's very... Everyone's mixed. You can't sit with your own family from your movie, so the tables are really kind of an interesting group of people.
So who were you with?
I think, who was on our table? Emily Blunt.
Not bad.
And Rita Wilson and Donna Langley. And this guy, when I got on the table, because you're all sort of introducing yourself, this guy goes, Hi, I'm Gustavo. And I said, hi, what film are you with? And he said, Society of Snow. And I said, what did you do? And he said, I was on the plane.
Yes. They have the actual survivors in town.
I know. He was so great. He was so excited, kind of coming up, meeting everybody. It was great. So I was like, well, you survived.
What do you even say?
Well, I said, how did you survive? He said, you just never complain.
Oof.
It's like, nice.
I just rewatched that movie recently, and it's so beautiful but brutal. And
yeah,
I had the opportunity to. I thought I might meet the actual survivors, and I was like, I really don't think I know what to say.
Yeah,
like.
Oh, wow. He was loving life, so it was
cool.
That's
so great.
Yeah.
What about, did you meet the dog from Anatomy of a Fall? He was the big star I saw.
No, but he realized the dog stole the show. There's no doubt about it. Everyone was talking about the dog.
They say never work with children or animals, but you have both in Poor Things.
We do. Well, I'm not sure the animals are sort of a mix of, they're basically CGI. We didn't invent chicken dogs and have them for real.
I actually wasn't sure if they were practical or CGI.
I think there was sort of some practical in the set, and then they were rebuilt in CGI.
Is there, I've heard sort of rumors that there's like maybe a spin-off about some of these animals. Will we be seeing them again? Or?
I know. It's a great idea. I feel
right.
Like the kids movie, the kids version of Poor Things.
The sequel, Poorer Things, I guess would be it. So whenever I have anyone as accomplished as you are, I actually love to go back to the beginning, especially for writers. How did you become a writer? Was it something you always knew you wanted to do? And specifically, did you think theater, movies, books?
I'm not sure when I didn't as a kid. I grew up in a small country town in Australia, and the idea of that was kind of like sort of beyond my comprehension. It was not that kind of town. It was racing and it was dairy and not that, and so I think there was a kind of like, if someone said I'm going to theatre, it was to get a knee operation. So it was kind of like, so I didn't think. I read books all the time because, I was lying in a paddock minding the cows, trying to like not let them get out or something for 6 hours. So I did love writing and I did love books, but I was very terrible at English and I was always failing English. And so I think I got into my 20s and I was doing an economics degree and I was working in London in finance. And I started seeing plays every weekend in London, and then something in watching plays made me think, I want to do that for no logical or rational reason. And then I just decided I was going to do it, and it seemed completely delusional. But I was just like, I think that's what I want to do, so I'm going to try. And then I tried to write novels for a while, and I was really, really bad at it. And in fact, in Australia, I did this 1-year course. I think it's called the Certificate of Professional Writing, and I'm the only person to ever fail it because my novel was so bad they refused to pass me because I can't.
Wow.
So, but I did discover this love of playwriting, and then I became a playwright. And when I was 25, I had play on in Sydney, and then I just sort of had 9 plays in a row on, and it was really just my thing. I just kind of knew how to do it.
Do you think, and be aware that I'm embarrassed to even say this, but I'm a playwright as well, but
sure.
Out here in Los Angeles. But like I do rom-coms and silly things. I don't by any means mean to compare what we do.
No.
But I'm curious. Do you think it had anything to do with you had a real ear for dialogue? But because I could never write a novel. Like, I think that description would be hard.
Yeah, I think it was to do with that, but I think it's actually it's some kind of brain thing. It's to do with I don't know how to understand grammar or prose, and I've had a lot of classes to try and solve the problem. So now we're just like the guy's got neurological problems, but I can do dialogue, and that's my thing, and my scripts have a lot of dialogue and not a lot of description. Partly because I feel like you should get everything out of the scene from what the brief description of what the action, and so I certainly don't overwrite description, but but I love dialogue. It's one of my great loves.
Yeah, that's what I do too, because I say, I want the director to be able to interpret this.
Well, I don't say that.
Yeah. Oddly, I'm usually the director, so I'm also lying. What do you love about the medium of live theater?
I think I loved I think I love two things. I love the camaraderie of the ensemble of just like, half a dozen people in a room on boards trying to make a thing. And I love that it made me, I really understood acting and actors, and I really loved what they did, and I really loved their courage and bravery to go do that all the time. So it taught me a love of acting, and I think the audience just taught me how to understand drama and particularly understand comedy. Like I read this David Mamet thing, and he was like, you have to go to your play all the time. And I understood it because I used to go all the time, and it's actually painful because things don't work sometimes, and you have to sit there over every night and see it not work and try and work out why it's not working. And you really start to understand rhythm and pace and, I don't know. So I felt like theatre really taught me about audience and relationship between audience and the material.
Something I love but also fear about theater is, so many things can go wrong, and you don't get a second take. It's live in the moment.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing? Maybe not worst. I'll just say what's the most entertaining thing that's gone wrong in one of your shows?
Oh my God, so many things have gone wrong in my shows. I had one night where it was an opening night, and the one of the actresses had to come down in the lift in the opening scene, and she was imaginary, but you didn't know that at that point. And the lift got stuck, and my director and I were sitting at the back, and we're like, just don't start, just because we just started. And then the actor started doing the whole first scene, and you couldn't see her. And for the whole scene, it was ridiculous. But a lot, it's that's what theatre is.
Yeah.
One opening night, one of the actors just swept this table of glasses and broke glass all over the stage, which really affected their blocking because they spent the whole act trying to walk around all this glass that was everywhere. And we were like, why should we? And you never know. You've got to keep going. So, yeah, but, sure.
It's so hard because you can't do anything.
No, you stand there like, full going.
At least if you're on the stage, if you're the actor, you feel like you can do something.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
When was the last time you did something for theater?
Oh, probably like 10. It would have been, I'm trying to think. I date everything off my children's ages. I think it was probably 10 years ago.
Oh, I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah, I kind of, I was just got into TV and film, and then I abandoned theatre abandoned me, or I abandoned it. I'm not really sure what happened.
Do you miss it, or just
not
too busy?
Really? Yeah. No, I think I was just sort of, that was the time. I did like a play every year for a bunch of 10 years or something, and so some, and I was lucky. I had a lot of success in it. So I think I just got to the point where I wanted a different medium, and then TV came, and after that, film came, and that really kind of energized me as a writer.
And you were like, I like this money thing.
Yes, of course. Although weirdly in Australia, you can make a good living as a playwright.
That.
Yeah,
I have heard that. Yeah,
yeah. It was at the time I did it. It was really, if you kind of worked it out, you could, a good run would keep you for a couple of years. So yeah.
But here now you get to go to Oscar luncheons.
I know.
Who can compete with that?
Well, nothing, exactly.
So with Poor Things, this is an adaptation of an Alistair Gray novel. I know you've done adaptations of your own work before.
Yeah.
Have you ever adapted someone else's work?
No. It was the first book I've ever adapted. So it was a challenge. Yeah, it was a kind of... I remember getting it and reading it, and it was a wild book. And but also I was like, I don't know that this should be the first one you adapt, the brain in the woman's head. But it was such a great challenge, and it was such a I could see what we could do with it, and I love Yorgos and what he does. So it was kind of like up for the challenge of how to make it work.
And this was quite some time ago, right?
Yeah, I think it was before we shot Favourite, so I guess that was like 2016, I reckon, 2017, I think, maybe a bit earlier even. It was probably in the year before we were shooting Favourite. We'd kind of got Favourite to the point where it was more or less ready to go, and we were Yorgos was waiting for Emma and all the actors' times to come together so he could shoot, and we started on it then.
And did he give you any warning about what the book was about, or just handed it to you? Okay, so what's your reaction as you're thumbing through it?
Well, I was like, it was just so unexpected, but yeah, I kind of loved it, and I was like trying to see where the movie was, because he doesn't. He just said, "Here's this." He kind of just slid it across to me at lunch, and he's like, "See if you want to do this." And I read it, and then, we have a similar sensibility, so my response to it was very strongly about Bella, because the book's about a lot of things, not just Bella, and her. It's a lot about Scottish nationalism, and the men tell her story, and they tell other stories, and but we, I think we both immediately went, if we could tell Bella's story from inside Bella's experience, which sort of isn't in the book. So it was good because it sort of let me invent a lot, as well as giving us a premise and some kind of stuff we could hang on to.
Now, I haven't read the book because, well, it's been busy, but March 11th, I will start the book. How about that? But I know someone who has, and they said that it is a perfect example of what a great adaptation should be. In that it preserves the spirit and honors the book, but it really is its own thing to work in its own medium.
Yeah, I think that was the thing for me. It was like I certainly felt we couldn't be slavish to the book, and I had no sort of intention of being, this is like, we're trying to make a piece of cinema, and I knew it would have a relationship to the book, but it had to have its own sensibility. I think it was always like, whenever I do something with Yorgos, and we've just done a third thing, but it's always like, here's the material, but it's sort of like, but like us. It's got to feel like us. So it was always like, my sensibility is quite strong, and obviously his is very, genius strong. So it was always like, how do we translate it into a movie that we just want to see? And I wasn't really wedded to anything. It wasn't I loved the book, but I hadn't had it for years where it was a precious thing to me. I was just really admired it, and I admired some of the ideas in it and the premise. And so it was all about the freedom to kind of us create a piece of cinema.
Because it is, so much of your creation as well. Did you find the adaptation process surprisingly different, or, did you really sort of read the book and then put it aside?
I put it aside for a couple of years. I think we actually reread it maybe 6 months before we started shooting. But before that, I kind of read it once or twice, and then I kind of we kind of had our, let's make it about Bella. I knew I wanted to make it also a satire about control within that. And then it was like go on my own journey to make it my own, because I think when you adapt anything, you've got to own it. I have to own it before. I know ultimately it's Yorgos's, but I'm also like, I have to own it and not just serve people. I have to kind of, as an artist, go, this is an expression of what I want it to be. So yeah, and then eventually we kind of went back to it, and we did colour a couple of little things out of it that were good.
When you say that you kind of give it your flavor, have you seen Barton Fink?
Yeah.
I keep imagining, give it that Barton Fink feel.
I give it the Barton Fink feel, totally.
Give it the Yorgos Tony feel. But to a certain degree, I mean, I think that is what they bring in for you. And I'm such a fan of Yorgos. And it's interesting because I always thought of his movies as kind of the ultimate game of would you rather. Like Killing of a Sacred Deer is like, do you want to kill your kid or do you want to kill your wife?
Yeah, that's true, right.
But The Favorite, it has a slightly different feel to it that I think might be your influence. And The Poor Things. Oh my God, I sound like my mother. Have you seen The Poor Things?
Have you seen The Poor Things? Let's put it on the Facebook. Yeah.
By the way, you have 2 phones.
I do, because I live in London most of the time, but I also am Australian. So I have a phone that is Australian because it's complicated. It's got apps.
And they're both on?
Yeah,
right
they're both
now?
on all the time. And I have a child in Australia who rings me on this one, and my mum, so it's a bit like, this is my Australian life and this is my English life. And for some reason, I'm so technologically hopeless, I can't actually merge them into one phone.
You need a third one for America.
Yeah.
So sort of back to what I was saying, you and Yorgos work so well together, and you have a distinct style that I feel is sort of shared. How did you originally meet and know that collaboration was going to work?
We met. He'd found the material for The Favourite, and he was looking for a writer, and he'd just moved to London, and he was reading a lot of stuff, and he read a couple of things I'd written and decided, The Great and a movie I'd written, decided he liked them, and he's very particular, so he didn't like much, but he liked it. And then my agent rang me and went, "There's this Greek director. He's made 2 Greek films, Alps and Dogtooth. Do you want to work? He wants to talk to you. You should watch his movies." So I went and watched the movies, and I was like, I loved them. I thought it was amazing. And then I read the material, and then we got on this Zoom, which he always talks about. He's like, we had this Zoom, and the producers were like, let's put them together and see if it works. And he went into the office in London, and we had this Zoom, and he walked out, and the producers looked at the time code, and it had been 12 minutes. And they went, "Oh my God, did it go badly?" And he said, "No, we've got it." And
Wow.
And we went, well, we did instantly go. We were like, it should be like this, and it should be like, and we just sort of understood each other in a way without, he's it's often like we don't use a lot of language sometimes.
Yeah.
We really just know how the other thinks, and our sensibility is kind of different, but 80% similar, and a little bit, we have differences of approach and differences of taste, and we're slightly different about how we view the world, but there's enough sensibility about how you tell stories, the sort of fearlessness both of us want to approach our work with, and our sense of humour is very similar above all, and we're sort of unsentimental, but I always like things that are emotional as well as very funny,
So he hadn't done The Lobster at that point?
No, he hadn't done The Lobster.
When you saw that, were you like, oh my God, I'm in bed with a madman?
The Lobster? No, I loved it. I love
The Lobster,
yeah.
but
No, not really.
Bonkers.
I mean, Dogtooth, you know what you're in for.
That's true.
So, no, I saw Dogtooth, and I was, because they said there's not a lot of money, and I was like, I saw Dogtooth, I'm like, I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
I could just tell he just had bravery, and he's a great director. He just knows everything about filmmaking. He's kind of, he's cool.
So I think this is your 3rd film with Emma Stone, because you also worked on Cruella.
Yeah.
Did she bring you into Cruella?
Yeah, I think her and Craig Gillespie, who I'd worked with before, but I think between them they decided to bring me in.
Was that to give it that Tony McNamara feeling?
I think it was just like they thought they wanted to make a different kind of big Disney sort of franchise movie, and I think they were trying to do something different than what would be expected. And then, Craig and I really had done a script together before and had really, really got on, and, had a real similar kind of sensibility about how we like things, and very different person, but and I knew Emma's tone, I know her tone and sensibility and what she likes because it's sort of similar. So yeah, they just brought me in, and it's like your friends going, come and do a great job with this. I'm like, sure.
Are you the man responsible for the dogs killing the mother in that movie? I need to know who to blame.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably Craig.
So Bella Baxter, and when you say her name, you have to say the full name,
yeah,
I feel. She is such a complex, fun character, and I know that, Emma's been very open about saying it's her favorite character, pretty much, and that playing a role like that is so freeing for actors. Is it freeing for you to write it?
Yeah, because I think it's just, well, she was a great character to write, because one of the attractions was you don't write characters that, I guess twofold. It's like the fingerprints of childhood and society weren't on her as a character, and often you're writing off a character's trauma in a way. And so it was like, oh, there's none. So what am I writing? I'm writing someone who just greets experience in a really open, adventurous, optimistic, I wonder what it is. And I don't have any preconceptions about how I should feel about it, how I should judge it, anything. I'm just in a constant state of self-creation. So that was, that was a kind of, in the same way I know Em feels that, there's something about it, writing it or acting it for her, which is like, oh, we could both, I think we both learnt from it a bit, like How to Live Your Life in some ways.
I mean, she's such a blank slate, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, this might be more for actors, like they really take that home with them. They find themselves really saying what they think to people. Does it change your personality?
Not really. Probably not as much as it should. I probably should have learnt more, but
Maybe I should ask the people around you.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think so, but it did make me. I mean, that was the idea behind it, and it was there is a kind of wish fulfillment in the movie of, I wonder what, I think people like that about the movie. Yeah. It's like, what would my experience be if I could let go of all this stuff we carry around?
Who doesn't want to punch a baby from time to time?
Yes, I blame my son for that.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because when I had a 3-year-old at the time, and I remember we did a draft, and I came in and we were talking about it, and I said, you know what, I think Bella's too nice in the young phase, because I had 2 boys. I'm like, they're like narcissistic sociopaths, those 2. So I was like, not to blame them, they're very sweet children. But I was telling him how one of my sons, Wilco, was in a restaurant, and he was like, this baby was screaming, and he was like, someone punched that baby. And I told him that story, and he's like, yes, we need some Wilkie. So that line went in, much to Wilco's delight.
Does he want a credit now?
I don't know. He was just happy because my other son's called Art, and there was Artie in Cruella.
Named after him.
It predated.
No? Okay.
No, it was already there. But so I think they now feel like it's even now. But yeah.
I look at a character like Bella Baxter, and I think you couldn't write a character like that if you didn't have amazing women in your life.
Yeah, probably true.
Yeah. Who are some of the women that, I don't want to necessarily say inspired her, but inspire you?
Yeah, no, I think it's that, I guess, observing, like, yes, I have an amazing wife, and I have a 23-year-old daughter, and my best friend and best writer friend, but also best friend is a woman. So I guess it's like living with their experiences and observing their experiences and hearing what they go through, and kind of like also kind of understanding the sort of, you look for characters with large obstacles and big systemic obstacles in any drama. And I feel like, for women, they're there, and so it's sort of like, it makes big characters because you got to get over some big things, that people throw in your way.
Well, I feel like you also kind of hit on all the male archetypes that every woman has ever met. We all have a Godwin. We all have a Duncan to some degree.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's true as well. Yeah, you hear a lot of stories from your friends about the Duncan character who's in their lives,
And I don't mean to laugh because Duncan is terrible, but he's very charmingly played by Mark Ruffalo, so it's hard not to.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of he's an idiot, but at the same time, it was really the male types that I chose to kind of in the satire part of the movie. I guess it was important to me to like represent that they're also like sort of they're acting sometimes out. What I thought was interesting about it was they're sometimes not malicious, but they don't know. Their sort of action is sort of mindlessly malicious and they think they're acting out of love.
Yes.
And so I found that really interesting, and I think that was one of the things that made me want to write it. I was like, what is this sort of male, but also other characters in the movie, this inherent human desire to control each other, which I find and have always found. I was like, why is everyone trying to tell me what to think and do and control what I feel about stuff? I don't get it. But, extrapolate it out in terms of women's bodies, in terms of all that kind of decisions and stuff. So, and it was like, if we give her such agency and these men don't, in their society, are like, why has she got this entitled agency and not get it, and it completely blows someone like Duncan's mind, seemed kind of funny.
I will say that I think most of them, like, if you ask them, they would say they're acting out of love and they have good intentions, with the exception of Christopher Abbott's character.
Yeah,
just awful.
Yeah, true. Alfie was always going to be the worst character.
Yes. And by the way, Rami Youssef should send you flowers because you just made him out to be the ideal.
What does he say? Weakness is a virtue. That's what he told me.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Because you do have so many amazing actors, how do you feel about improvisation or, just what they can bring to a character?
Well, I think it's like within our, Yorgos has a very particular process of how everything develops in the process of rehearsal. And so there's no real improv. There might be a few lines move around, but I think and I'm a bit like on The Great, I was like that. It's very, my writing's very rhythmic and very tight, and I kind of like feel like I try to give a groundwork where there's enough freedom for actors to, it's more like something they can jump off than something they have to rearrange, so it's more like give them a really good place to kind of work from and great stuff to work from, and that's my kind of goal. And then I think for Yorgos, it's like we've worked on the script for years. We worked on it for, on and off, not all the time. But, we worked for 3 or 4 years, and towards the end, we're incredibly meticulous. And then in rehearsal, if words come up or lines come up, they that's when we kind of attend to them. And then when they're on the floor, he just wants it to be free flowing, and the actors all have their lines completely in their bodies and down because they've been in this rehearsal process for 3 weeks, which is an untraditional rehearsal. But so they don't really want it because they're so the language is in them. Mm-hmm. So there isn't that kind of need or something. It's an interesting experience because it's a creation of an ensemble, so we all feel everyone's doing their jobs, and it's about everyone kind of connecting their job to each other, and each job letting the other person do something great.
Because you mentioned The Great, if it's not too painful, since we're not getting another season of it.
It's not painful at all.
Can you tell me everything that was going to happen in the next season?
Well, I can tell you a couple of things. I think
I know how history ends.
Sure,
but I would love to hear your version.
She was going to run the country by herself, and she would have a lot of lovers, and that would cause a lot of concern and a way to play her. And then Archie would be mad in the forest, becoming a kind of a terrorist. And Aunt Elizabeth was going to semi-retire, but not really. And there was a bunch of stuff we thought we would do. But yeah, I mean, we had the best 3 years. I can't be anything but grateful about it because they were the most wonderful group of people, and it's that thing. I mean, we got to do something great that we had a great time doing. Mm-hmm. So I don't really feel like I just feel like wow, we really got to. Even when it ended, I think Belinda, my wife, who's in the show, plays Aunt Elizabeth. I think we were just. Like, it was sad a bit later, but in the moment, we were just like, I can't believe we got to do that.
Mm-hmm. And you did get to tell, like, each season was a self-contained story.
And I think, and then in the beginning, it was just going to be 2 seasons.
Really?
So we were kind of like, I think we all fell in love and kind of loved it, and the network loved it, and we kind of went, oh, well, let's keep going.
Yeah. You're, obviously onto other things, but can I be angry?
Okay. I get people being angry, and... and it wasn't like we weren't sad because we wanted to be together and do it again. But I think I'm more what's next person than anything.
Well, that leads me to my final question. What's next? What can you tell us?
What's next? Well, I think what is next? I've got a comedy that that I'm working on. And Yorgos and I've got a script that I've written for him that The Hawkline Monster, which was a Richard Brautigan.
Wait, what's this?
It's called The Hawkline Monster. Richard Brautigan wrote the book in the 70s. It's very sort of like a psychedelic kind of Western thing, but yeah, and a TV thing that with Nick, and I've got a few things I'm working on.
Wait, with Nick Holt?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Boy, actors really keep coming back to you. That's got to be so flattering.
I guess, yeah. Well, I mean, it's great. I mean, I love it. Like I said, I think that one of the things theatre really gave me was a love of actors and a admiration for them.
Yeah, I admire them so much because I literally couldn't do what they did.
Yeah, and it's a tough life.
Yeah.
It's a tough way to make a living.
At this point, I mean, you're obviously so established in your career, but you're going to the Academy Awards March 10th. Is there anyone that you're still starstruck by, or that you're hoping to meet, or you'd like to see? Or
I don't know. I mean, I'm all the time.
Yeah.
I'm starstruck. Yeah, I remember seeing Jeff Bridges at the Globes when it was almost like, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
I can go home for the rest of my life. I love Jeff Bridges. And he made this amazing speech. So there's people like that, Harrison Ford, you see people, and it's not even you want to meet them, because you just, knowing me, I'll just say something dumb and awkward. So it's just like a joy to be part of. You go, I'm in the room with these people who are amazing talents and who you've admired and they've inspired you, and you're kind of like meeting Eric Roth or, someone like that, for me as a writer, is very exciting,
That's Oscar-nominated Poor Things screenwriter Tony McNamara. And that's it for this edition of Variety's Awards Circuit Podcast. Zach Levin edited this episode, and Michael Schneider is the producer. Be sure to subscribe to the Awards Circuit Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. Also, head on over to Variety.com and click on the Awards Circuit tab to find the latest awards predictions and key races, as well as your daily fix of news, analysis, and reviews. For Jazz Tanke, Janelle Riley, and Clayton Davis, I'm Michael Schneider, and we'll see you on the circuit.
For your consideration, Max presenting the HBO original Barry, starring Bill Hader in the explosive and hilarious final chapter of a man trying to untangle himself from the world of contract killing and immerse himself in acting. Nominated for 3 SAG Awards, including Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Comedy Series. Barry is now streaming on Max.